Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Today, the rupee fell by 16 paise, which is an all-time low, to 82 rupees 33 paise against a dollar. Let's talk about that. How does this fall of a rupee happen? That's the first thing we'll discuss. Then we'll discuss how does it affect us? How does it affect you and me? Let's discuss all these points. Let's get right into the show. So at the interbank foreign exchange, our rupee fell to an all-time low of 82 rupees 33 paise. That is 16 paise. Now, by the time it closed, an hour before I started the shoot, we gained 1 paise. So now it is 82 rupees 32 paise and not 33 paise. Anyway, so this is what happened. All-time low, rupee fell. Achha, now what I'm going to discuss today is why does a rupee fall? Let us first understand that. Yeah, rupee girta kaise hai bhai? What happens for a rupee to fall? Now people say, experts say there are 4 reasons for it. Reason number 1, before all that, let's understand. You see, the value of a product, value of a currency, or value of anything for that matter of fact, is purely based on the supply and demand curve. When the supply is more, the value is less. When the supply is less, the value is more. So it works on this. This is the world. Everything in this world works in this balance. Everything in this world works in this balance. Okay. So let's start with that. So now let's come back to our dollar and why dollar price has gone up and rupee price has come down. Achha, expert says the first reason for that is the Ukraine war. Achha, kya hua Ukraine war mein? Ukraine war mein, there are sanctions that Europe and other countries, America and Europe has imposed over Russia. So European Union themselves, they can't go out and purchase oil and gas from wherever they want. They have to purchase from countries which trade in USDs. Earlier on, they would do a lot of purchase from Russia and a lot of purchase were traded in rubles. But now that is not possible. They have to go down to countries which trades in United States dollars. So the demand for United States dollars went up. What happens? Demand goes up, price goes up. Correct? So that's number 1. The second reason, what experts say, is that United States Federal Reserves has increased their interest rates. Now what happens when United States Federal Reserves increases the interest rates? When the interest rates are increased, people don't end up spending because products become dearer. What they do is they end up saving the money. Remember what I told you? When the supply is less and the demand is more, price increases. So when you take all the money and save it, when dollars are saved instead of spent, the dollars available in the market is lesser. So the cost of dollar goes up. So that's the reason number 2. Reason number 3 is connected to reason number 2. See, investors from India, they remove their money from the stocks, their investments from the stocks in India, and rather invest elsewhere in the world, like places like United States, where they are getting better interest rates. So that's the reason number 3. Okay, now let's come to the 4th point. 4th point, again, what I told you, remember the same philosophy. Demand versus supply. When there is trade deficit, now what is trade deficit? Trade deficit is when your exports are lesser than your imports, or when your imports are more than your exports. When you export more, you get foreign currencies, you get dollars, you get rubles, you get foreign currencies, especially dollars, you get that. When you import, you have to give dollars. So when your import is more, the supply, the demand for dollars is more because you have to give it. And when you export, you are receiving more dollars. So when the import is more than the export, that is when the cost of dollar goes up and the cost of rupee comes down. The value of rupee comes down. Now let me give you some figures. Okay, I will give you some figures of merchandise trade. I am not even talking about service trade. I am talking about merchandise trade. Merchandise trade matlab material, merchandise. Okay, merchandise trade in 2021-22, according to government figures, we exported 4,22,004 million US dollars. Okay, and had a growth of 44.62% in our exports. But on the contrary, we imported 6,13,052 million dollars. We had a growth of import by 55.4%. So our trade balance was 1,91,048 million dollars. We imported 1,91,048 million dollars more than we exported. So the value of dollar was more because we have to pay more dollars than receive it. Okay? Now, the latest figures I will give you, the latest merchandise trade figures I will give you. Financial year 2022-23, April to August, our export figures was 1,96,431 million. That was our export figures. And our exports grew merely by 19.46%. Whereas our import figure were $3,19,177 million and our imports grew by 46.27%, which means we had a trade balance of $1,22,746 million. So this trade deficit, this minus mein jo balance hota hai, this trade deficit causes dollar to be expensive, to be dearer and devalues our Indian rupees. This is the story. Okay? So I think I've explained to you why does a dollar price goes up and why does Indian rupee price comes down. Now let us understand how does it affect our lives, Baba? How does it affect yours and mine life? Acha, kya hota hai ki, like I told you, we import a lot of things in India. A lot of things that we use, including oil, gas, FMCG products, some of the durable products, a lot of products are imported, a lot of ingredients are imported, a lot of raw materials are imported, fertilizers are imported. So when you import product and the cost of dollars goes up, your cost of import goes up. When the cost of import goes up, your product gets dearer. The product gets dearer. Now, when the product gets dearer, who is affected? The consumer is affected. So, you and I are affected. In this already inflated state of our market, again, the product inflation could happen because dollar is becoming expensive. Correct? Point number one. Now, let us understand our entire economy. Our entire economy works on a vicious cycle. Okay, na? How it works? You buy, the consumer goes and buys products. When the consumer goes and buys products, the manufacturer makes more products because it is profitable. Consumer is buying products. When the investor sees that this particular industry, there are a lot of people who are buying products, the investor comes and invests in that market. When the investor comes and invests in the market, the producer produces more. When the producer produces more, normally they would require laborers to work. They would require laborers, office staff, managers, everybody. So the producers, the employment in the economy goes up. When the employment in the economy goes up, the cash in a person's pocket also grows up. When the cash in the person's pocket grows up, he goes and purchases. So when the cash grows up, he purchases. When the purchase happens, the producer produces more. When the producers produce more, the jobs increase. And when the job increase, the individual gets more money to purchase more. This is the vicious cycle. Now, what really happens when a dollar price goes up is the consumer now purchases lesser. No money, very expensive. How to purchase? So the consumer doesn't purchase. When the consumer doesn't purchase, the producer cannot produce because there is no demand. What will he produce? When the producer cannot produce, what he does? He lays off his people. The first thing to get hit are the employees. He lays off his staff. When he lays off his staff, there is no money to spend. So there is no money to purchase. So the vicious circle is broken. And the vicious circle is broken you and I get into crisis. You and I get into economic crisis. And that's how a normal person is affected by the rise in dollar price versus, or rather, Indian rupee falling against a dollar. This is what happens to us. And that is why it is important for us to know what is our trade, how is our trade functioning, what are our imports, how are our exports, what is the country doing, what is the government doing to ensure that we export more, what is the government doing to ensure that we import less, what is the government doing to ensure that we produce more in our country, what is the government doing to ensure that there is enough consumption that happens, there is demand in the country, what is the government doing. All this becomes very relevant because this affects your ration in your house. It affects your house, it affects your lifestyle, it affects your family, it affects your health, it affects your wealth, it affects your education, it affects everything. So now you understood how this vicious circle works. So therefore, keeping an eye on all this, very, very important. Like I concluded, India has had a all-time low of 82.33 rupees against dollar. It has closed at 82.32 rupees. That is the news today. And in 2022 so far, the rupee has been depreciated close to 9% against the dollar. This is the news I wanted to share with you. This is the explanation that I wanted to give you. I wanted to share with you how all of this affects our family. Till I see you next time. Namaskar.
To know about the latest updates on our new news app, go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.